Hi guys, I'm John and you're watching the Birds of Cebu, the channel dedicated to aviculture, avian behaviorism, and avian companionship. And today we are now at the last part of the Jurong Bird Park walkthrough, and this is my favorite part in the Jurong Bird Park walkthrough because it shows the largest enclosure of Jurong Bird Park, which is the Waterfall Aviary. So come on and let's check it out. And now we will see the sign of the Waterfall Aviary. It's a large arc just above us. And although this is the second time I'm visiting Jurong Bird Park, I'm still very excited to enter this enclosure because it is, after all, the highlight of the entire Jurong Bird Park. I believe that if you have to go to at least one place and you're in a hurry and you're visiting Jurong Bird Park, this is the one enclosure that you cannot miss. It's so huge, really, and when you're looking from outside, you can only take it all in if you're standing from afar. And now we're passing through the double door system that prevents the birds from escaping. And as we're entering, it doesn't feel like you're going inside a cage. What it feels like is you're actually going inside the whole park in itself. I mean, if they just had a waterfall aviary, I think it could stand all on its own. It's that big. It's that amazing. And frankly, the video here right now does not do justice to how huge this place is. And now let's walk around to see more birds because this place is huge. So I'm just showing here right now a part of the aviary, which is sort of like a building structure where people can stay and eat before they walk around the aviary. So I like the design. It's facing this forest and I could just sit there the whole day and look at the wild. So if you look at how the aviary is designed, there are pathways all over the place and they intertwine with each other without going through the areas where the birds can stay safe and separated from the humans. So that's how you want to design a walk-through aviary, where there is enough space for people to walk through without invading the safe spaces of these animals. And now let's zoom in to a couple of weaver birds making their nests woven together just like they would with baskets. So around the enclosure, you can see signs of birds and their photos so that you can tell what kind of bird you're looking at if you're bird watching. I find this very helpful, and not just for a place to look nice, but also to educate people about the kind of birds that are inside the aviary. And because the aviary has a lot of bodies of water in it, you can cross these bridges to get over them. One of the things that constantly amazes me about the aviary is how they beautifully do the landscaping and the choices of plants. I mean, who just thinks of what to place in this aviary to make it look like an exotic forest? You can already hear the flowing water as we see the waterfall that makes this aviary quite famous. Now this is a man-made waterfall and it just looks really beautiful. Let's take a closer look at the waterfall. This man-made waterfall is 30 meters tall and is one of the tallest man-made waterfalls in the world. And this is possible to be placed inside the enclosure because the aviary is 35 meters tall. Now, even if you're not that into birds, being inside this aviary and seeing the man-made waterfall is enough to impress just about anyone. Conveniently, there's a bridge facing the falls so that you can stand over there and see the panoramic view of the entire waterfall. I guess for me, what was impressive about it was not just the waterfall structure in its own, but the surrounding vegetation that makes it more natural. I mean, I've seen a lot of naturally beautiful waterfalls and I like something that looks similar to what you see in the wild, and this one is just really impressive. Here comes the fun part in this aviary walkthrough. We get to see birds fed and they get really up close to us. They're fed twice a day at 10:30 a.m. and at 2:30 p.m. and right now we're hitting the 2:30 p.m. schedule. The first time I visited this aviary, there were a lot more birds whenever I would pass by. Now I think there are fewer birds mainly because they're already preparing for the great transfer, and I've actually seen some places in this aviary where they're trying to recapture some of the birds. So what I'm doing here right now is I'm trying to show you what the aviary looks like from ground and up so that you can see what a walk-through aviary looks like from a perspective of a person who's inside. And maybe if you're ambitious enough, you can copy or try to be inspired from the design that you have here in the Waterfall Aviary. Now, some people might think that birds deserve to be free and should not be enclosed in an aviary, but let me tell you, with this kind of setup, it's not so much about the birds getting out, it's more of keeping predators from coming in. This is a safe haven for birds to thrive, to breed, to feel like they're naturally free, but at the same time being protected from all dangers of the outdoor that normally would make a bird's life shortened. So I actually passed by one of these cages, which I think is a capture cage that allows the keepers to get the birds if they need to do anything like medical checkup or they need to transfer the birds. And over here, this is actually where they're going to do the feeding, and we're gonna wait here so that we can make it in time to see the birds come close for their feeding session. And because the birds here are fed by humans, they're quite familiar with the human presence and they're not easily scared. Just like this guy here, this is a bearded barbet. Now, a thing about the birds here in the Waterfall Aviary is that they're mostly African birds. This bird here may be anticipating the feeding schedule, but you'll see other birds soon fly by when they make the food call. I always find it cute when the birds use the footpath as well, and that makes them look like they're tourists in this aviary. Hopping around this iridescent beautiful bird is the purple starling, and the whole time I was in this aviary, I couldn't get enough of this wonderful creature. It looks beautiful in the video, but if you saw it up close and in person, I'll tell you, this is something that almost seems unreal. Some people might even think they painted the bird. It's just really beautiful. And just like the other birds, they're waiting for the food to come. And now the food trolley is passing by, and the sound of its movement is enough to trigger the birds to start flocking in. Now there is actually a feeding call that the keeper will use, which is a bell, but other than that, some birds can pick up from this queue and are getting ready so that they have a good spot when it comes to feeding time. The trees are already full of birds and they're waiting for the guy to prepare the food so that they can start eating. Stainless dishes are placed in designated feeding spots, and this is important so that the birds will not be congregating in one central location, because if they are all compiled in one place, fighting can happen. And if you can observe, even if the birds are already familiar with human presence, they still maintain a safe distance that makes sure that they will be able to fly safely away if anyone gets too close to them. That rather colorful bird that you're looking at is the superb starling. And over here you can see one of Africa's endemics, the brown-necked parrot. It's also known as the uncaped parrot. The bell rings once again, and this is the call for the birds to come on over because it's feeding time. The keeper here seems to have a special connection with one of the birds. Let's see if he can get one of the birds to land on his arm. And he's successful. It's a pied imperial pigeon. At the back of my head, I'm thinking like, this guy sounds like the ice cream man, and all these birds are kids just excited to have their own ice cream. This time, all the birds are now flying in, and just like that, the peacock wants to show off. I can see a very proud bird just wanting to strut his stuff and show what beauty he has in his tail. Would you agree with me that the starlings are just stunning and they really stand out even in a flock of birds?
Here is the largest walking aviary in Jurong Park, which is covered about 2 hectares, equivalent to 2 football fields. So if you guys don't yet view our waterfall here, it's a man-made waterfall. If you want to walk closer, you can go to our splash zone downstairs, just to see the middle part. So the birds here we feed twice per day. We use the multiple fruits, seeds, to feed the birds at our waterfall area. So we will put the food at 7 different location of the mushroom feeder. Yeah. So the birds here mostly are frugivores and omnivores. So they eat fruits and insects as well. No plant food. So I would like to intro you guys 5 different species of the bird before the feeding section starts. So this one is a native species. It's called as the pie imperial pigeon. It's from Singapore.
From Singapore?
Yeah, in native.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So we got a lot of the pigeon right here. So later on you guys will feed. So we purchase of $2, you guys will get 1 cup of the mealworm, which is mainly for the starling. So the way you feed, you can just pull your cup tight in. Yeah. Just don't move and then the bird will enjoy that meal on top. Yeah, so you can take photo as
I don't want it to come over.
So the mealworm mostly is for the starling. Here got 7 different species of the starling. The one is the one is called as superb starling. And we also got the gobblers here. The gobblers, this one is called as helmeted guinea fowl. The similar one is called as the crested guinea fowl. So the head part is slightly different. The helmeted guinea fowl, their head part is made by the keratin, which is same as your fingernail. So they lift up their head part to push away the bushes through the forest area. And their color on their skin also help them camouflage in the forest. So other than that, we also got the brown-red parrot.
What's the blue silvery?
Here is the brown-red parrot. So if you want to view more of the parrot, you can go to Parrot Paradise, which is just next to our area. So this one also one of the starling, which is called as the red wing starling. So when they fly, you can see the red wing. So it's so where they come from, the red wing starling. And we also got the Indian blue peafowl. The female is called as peahen. So the male will open up their feathers as the courtship display to attract the female. So later at 3 p.m. is the last show for today at Jurong Park. It's at the pool amphitheater. So you can just exit from the exit part and then take the right hand side to our pool amphitheater. Yeah. So I hope you guys enjoy your day at Jurong Park. Thank you.
So here we see again the red-winged starling and the green Indian ringneck parakeet. If you watch my vlogs, you might have noticed that I also have one. His name is Charlie. And let's say hello to this Victorian crown pigeon, again one of the largest pigeons in the world. The African grey parrot is one of the most intelligent parrots in the world, capable of learning complex language. This also happens to be the species of the bird of Mikey Bustos ligaya. One thing I really enjoyed about being here is that I got to see the birds in their high activity state. So instead of just seeing them sitting around in perches, you're seeing them interact with each other, express social behaviors. And this is something that I enjoy when I do bird watching. And here it is up close during feeding time. The thing is with birds is that you can learn a lot about them and their behavior through their feeding. In fact, a lot of their evolutionary developments is because of their feeding, whether it's specialized beaks or specialized legs and wings. This all goes back to feeding. Here I'm trying to get a closer look of the brown-necked parrot. What I noticed with African birds is that they tend to be dull in color, but with a very sharp, colorful contrast. Just like your African grey with a red tail amongst its grey color. In this case, the brown-necked parrot, you can see a sharp orange color that stands out. And another African parrot that follows this color pattern, being dull in color but having a sharp, colorful contrast, is the Senegal parrot. So if you weren't able to catch what the guy was saying a while ago, the birds in this aviary are generally omnivores, meaning they both feed on fruits and vegetables or insects that provide them protein. So some of the food that you'll see here is actually mealworms that are given to starlings and other insect-feeding birds. Oh, and look, this is the reason why the peacock was actually displaying. There is a peahen nearby. We are looking at an actual display of courtship from the male peacock to the peahen. These are species called the blue Indian peafowl. Now, some people might think that giving food is just essential for making these animals thrive and survive. The reality is, when there's an abundance of food, birds take this as a sign to breed. So providing a lot of food actually triggers the birds to go into breeding mode. But this is not always the case. Here you can see a green Indian ringneck getting really close to a human being. Indian ringnecks are known to be very assertive and also confident. While bathing is an important grooming activity for birds, I have come to observe that this can also play as a social activity. The Waterfall Aviary is so beautifully made that I sometimes forget that I'm still inside an aviary. I'm hopeful that one day our country, the Philippines, may have an aviary just like this so that people can see and enjoy the beauty of birds. And that's it for the Jurong Bird Park walkthrough, the third park inside the Waterfall Aviary. I hope you guys enjoyed that, and if you did, please like and subscribe to this channel and share it to your friends, especially those who love a good aviary tour, because one day I might just have another opportunity to discover an aviary and share it with you guys. I'm John, this is Iggy, Alpha and Omega. See you guys again next time at Birds of Cebu.